Well guys, what do you think? This is the car sitting at ride height if I was standing next to it on the street. Just to give you guys some perspective. So for you who have been following along, I'm sure you're getting really excited to see the car at this point. And for those of you who are just tuning in, I'm Nick from iNVision Prototypes, and this is a custom 1940 Ford Coupe that we're building entirely from scratch, at least the body, and we've placed it over a late model Mustang chassis. There's a sketch over there with the one with the red rims. So anyway, what I'm trying to decide today is what to do first, the trunk skin or the roof skin. These side panels over the door have been finished. We've got the features in through here. Still a little more metal finishing to do in this area, but that'll be done once it's all joined together. This roof, we need to trim off about 2 inches from both ends and do a little more wheeling in the middle, kind of touch up a few things, and then we can start joining all those pieces together. The trunk skin, kind of similar situation. We have the side pieces finished. The edges have been kind of hemmed over, not all the way yet. We don't have the structure installed or made yet, but the side pieces for the skin have been hemmed over. We clamped that to the buck, and the trunk skin has been clamped to those side pieces. So we can again scribe, trim, and start welding those pieces together. To help us decide what we do first today, I've chosen a special washer. If it lands on the side, we'll do the roof. If it lands on the face, we do the trunk skin. With the center section clamped in place, we can take and start scribing the center section to the side panels. We're going to be trimming the material off of this panel. Now, if we took and cut off everything to this side of that mark that we make, this panel will just fall right through. So what I'll be doing is leaving small tabs every so far to allow this panel to sit on top of here. And that way, as we're working the panel, welding it up, we have some support. And then afterwards, I'll take off those little tabs, weld it up, and we'll be done. Once everything's welded, we can take and run this whole panel through the English wheel without touching the welds, because you don't ever want to run a weld through your English wheel. Doesn't matter if you TIG, gas weld, or MIG your panels. If your anvils aren't hardened, you're gonna mess them up. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, just scribing to this outer panel. Okay, we're at a stage now where we can start tacking things into place. You can see the extended tabs are left here at the top. Accidentally cut this one off, and this one's still here, which helped us support the panel. I have 2 tacks up here, and I'm going to proceed to work from the top down now and join up this one on a few tacks only so we can plenish them, bring the height up just where it needs to be, because you don't want a V happening. And then we're going to move on to this side and the same thing, start clamping, tacking, and just working from the middle up, middle down. You want to make sure that the surfaces are continuous from one to the other. You don't want any steps. With the first set of tacks plenished out so that the surfaces are nicely aligned all the way through, I'm going to go through and split the difference between the tacks, tack everything again, make sure everything is aligned perfectly, and then run one continuous bead all the way through and weld up this deck lid. I'll bring you guys in once it's all done. So what I'm doing is just scribing a cut line for the trunk so that we can start the hem up here. I haven't finished welding the last 3 inches on both sides, because we need to take and roll over the material, and if we weld it, it'll affect the way the material rolls. So we'll do that afterwards. Now down here, I've already established where this line is going to be bent, so we're all set to go. I'm going to take the deck lid off, trunk lid off, and go over to the bench, trim away to about 1/2 inch of this line, and then take and start rolling that over. And the same thing around here. I had these down, these radiuses a little bit lower, so we're going to move this up and re-radius that. And then we'll have to do a bit of plenishing through here to bring this area up, because it is a bit flat through here. And the same on this side. Okay, let's pop this off, and well, I see you guys looking at it. Looks nice, eh? Nice, consistent curvature all the way through. A bit of a low spot here. We're going to have to plenish that up, bring it up. But overall, it's looking quite sharp. What I'm going to do is create a few little witness marks just to help us line things up in the future. And there. Center line. Okay. Just 2 vice grips holding all this on. There we go. So the panel that you create should fit the buck without too much stress this way or that way. Now this will be hemmed over an internal structure that we still have to create, but like I said, this has to fit the buck without any tension in the panel. All right. Just extending our line 1/2 inch past where we need to be. I do like running the magic marker line against the tape and pulling the tape off, because if the tape ever comes off while you're cutting, you lose your reference and you have to retape it and kind of take a back step. This was not bad here. So what I'm doing is extending the flange that we'll be bending over. Line was a little MIA, so recreate that one there, as well as that one there, right through. Now you can see I'm cutting through the sheet metal, but I've got a weld right here, and if I take these new tin snips and run it through that weld, I might as well take and throw them out because it'll dull the tips. So you can do 2 things. You can take a zip blade and nip through that, or you can take an old pair and use the old pair, get through that weld. See how much harder that was to get through? So now that we're through, we can keep going. I wandered a little bit with the shear, kind of went off this way, and if you don't have a consistent edge when you're hemming that edge, you're going to run into trouble. It's going to kind of wander as well. So you want a nice consistent edge, and it'll stretch over and bend over consistently afterwards. Now up and through here, we have to take and remove the corners. That. That. And then the other thing is, because we have a radius here, we can't bend over the full 1/2 inch or 7/16. So we're going to bring it back to about, let's use these here. So we're going to kind of minimize how much we actually roll over in this area. Okay, that's better. So now we can start the process of actually starting the hem. Now, we're not going to carry this over all the way. I just want to create a nice consistent initial break. And then we'll do the rest in, we'll chase the rest in with a hammer and dolly. It's a lot of manual labor when you're building panels. But I find you can control the sheet much better, or control the metal much better. Now obviously we can't get into the radius with these duck bills, so that'll be done with a hammer and dolly. Let's go a little bit more. If you take this and yank it over right away, first shot, it's going to mess up the curvature that we developed. Okay, it's going to be good for now. Okay, get your earplugs in, guys. We're going to start rolling this over. So you don't want to peen or have that hammer hit this dolly too hard when you're bending this over, because it'll stretch it and start curving the panel the wrong way for you, as it did through here. You see how this kind of leveled out? We have to take and bring that in afterwards. I don't have a death grip on the hammer. It's kind of loose in my hand as I'm working it. You don't need a lot of force to take and carry this over. Now, similar to the tucks we created when we were shrinking the fenders or panels, the exterior body panels, we have to take and shrink this area here. And I have a tucking tool that I created just for flanges. See, as soon as I pinch it, it'll bring the metal, it'll curl the metal up, because we're actually removing material. We're creating a tuck. Should be enough. So we basically have a rod that pushes into a small divot here, and it kind of collapses the metal. So we're really close. I might create one more. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. We'll go to the back side, and then we'll go put this up in the car and see how it looks. Those corners we'll do with a hammer and dolly. This long sweeping curve to the back. Tuck it one more time. And then roll it over and hem it. Now, by me taking and tucking this down, I've actually flattened this area through here. So if I took and say, oh no, we're in trouble, and go and wheel it, after I take this material and roll it up underneath, we'll have too much curvature, and that'll be an issue. I know that once I complete this hem all the way through, it'll come back. So we're going to leave this the way it is. Okay, that's good there. Alright guys, so before I bring the deck lid over and drop it in place, I'm going to have to take and remove these three rods. They've served their purpose. They allowed us to take the three pieces and join them together seamlessly. Now they're going to be in our way. We have that hem that we just rolled over, and if we took and notched around each rod, the panel would actually kink in that location, and we don't want that. We want that nice curve to remain intact. So I'm going to take the zip blade, just cut those three welds up there, these three down here. This one actually broke off, and we're going to just create one nice big opening for the trunklet to sit into. At some point in the very near future, we're going to be starting the actual structure. So again, these are going to be in our way. We have to create the structure as per the opening, and well, we'll just cut these out right now. Considering we don't have the trunk lid structure in place, this is fitting fairly well to the buck. This hole is just about the right size for this deck lid, and it's actually almost falling through the hole. So we're sitting just on the flanges that we turned, and if we move 1/4 inch either way, well, she wants to fall in. I made the executive decision here to kind of soften up this curvature along the bottom. Earlier I had it peak down on the buck, so I kind of made a modification, and I think it looks a lot nicer being a more subtle curve across the back. This radius is nice through here, and then once we take and hem this corner over the structure, this will soften up and it'll look a lot better. But really, this is coming out really nice. This area through here has to be planched out by hand to bring it up because it's pulling the panel downwards in this location. So we'll get that corrected, and that's going to be it. So I'm going to call this an episode. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Take care.